Hello, universe.
Hello, universe. Welcome to Off the Rails with Tom and Mark, the best comedy podcast in America. This is gonna be Off the Rails.
Hello, universe. Welcome to Off the Rails, episode 88, our first ever 88th episode.
Coming to you live from the Coldwell Banker Home Sale Realty Studio here in beautiful, picturesque Grafton, Wisconsin.
It is gorgeous. And today we're here with Darren Schaefer of the Cooper Vortex, Skyping in all the way from Idaho. Hey, Darren.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's going to be an awesome episode full of conspiracy. So today, Darren's going to be with us. Cooper Vortex, we're going to be talking about that American mystery. Warming up to the fun, we have some Xbox deodorant and shower spray. Condoms that detect STDs. This week in Florida Man, our new segment. And then we're going to go over some Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, and Jeopardy conspiracies, all jam-packed into this excellent episode.
Time to pay some bills.
Hi, I'm Jenny Shulka, Director of Human Resources at a family-owned and international company, Coldwell Banker Home Sale Realty. With 3 offices in southeastern Wisconsin and some of the top agents in the industry, we are here to serve you in all of your real estate needs, whether you are buying or selling. If you are interested in a career in real estate, we offer an in-depth training program to make you successful. Call us at 414-443-2030 or email roy@cbhsr.com.
All right. Thank you, Jenny. And guess what we're doing? We're teaming up with Coldwell Banker. If you go to our site, you can join our contest. We have a big Summerfest contest. We will be broadcasting there July 6th. So if you go to our advertisement on our page, sign up. All you have to do is follow the rules. Some people aren't following the rules. You have to like our page. You have to like Coldwell Banker and tag a friend in the comments. That's it. What do you get? You get 2 passes to Summerfest. You get a VIP admission into the Coldwell Banker Summerfest.
Ooh, private area.
Private area. And in that area, you will get free drinks with a private bar. You're going to get food catered by Sal's, delicious Sal's, all-you-can-eat food. You will get to party with rock stars and movie stars. The cast of Lake Michigan Monster will be there, and the Appletones will be playing, and when they're done playing, they will come and join the party. So make sure you head to our page and check it out. We'll be podcasting there too, and we're going to be giving away the house because I want new stuff. I want new shirts. Your wife's going to be out there handing out our new wristbands. If you want some of those, come see us at Summerfest. You want bumper stickers, go to our Patreon page. Or if you want the freeziest way to do it, just share the video. That's the best way to do it. So join in the conversation, have some fun. Just share it. It'll be awesome. So we're going to get ready for the hot seat. We got Darren on the hot seat. Are you ready, Darren?
I am ready.
All right. It doesn't matter because you're on the hot seat. What is in the trunk of your car right now? It is a judgment-free zone.
A handful of hand tools, and that's about it.
I got 100 feet of rope.
It's not suspicious at all.
No.
I have some diapers and an empty bucket.
All right.
We got Larry Caravello says hi. He says this is his kind of thing.
All right. Excellent. Hey, Larry, that's from the Mark Joe Show.
Yeah.
So check those guys out. They are big into conspiracy. Are you a going out kind of guy or a Netflix and chill kind of guy?
I would say I'm a going out kind of guy.
You look like you're going out kind of guy. All right. Best pizza toppings, period.
I like barbecued chicken.
Whoa, this guy's fancy.
This interview's over.
We're out of here. No,
I'm kidding.
I'm a straight up pepperoni and green pepper.
I'm going to go all hoity-toity on you and go chicken, onion, and sun-dried tomatoes.
What's every old man's pizza?
The schmob, sausage, sausage, mushroom, onion, and black olives.
That is, if you grew up in the 70s, that is your pizza.
In the Midwest, yeah.
School uniforms, for them or against them?
I'm against them.
Okay. How often do you wash your towels?
Nosy.
Let's see, I buy them.
Twice a week?
You wash them twice a week? Okay.
I think I'd have to ask my wife.
Real quick, I forgot that they changed their name. They're not the Mark Joe Show anymore. They're Utterly Insane
Utterly
Productions.
Insane. Sorry about that, guys. We'll give you Utterly Insane Productions. They got a lot going on over there. Check them out. What ingredient ruins a cookie?
Raisins.
Raisins.
Everyone
is right.
hates raisins.
Raisins are awful. Let's take
Raisins
this
are okay.
delicious grape and let it rot and then put it in a cookie.
It's
Yeah, the
concentrated
texture
flavor.
just doesn't go with a cookie.
A lot of people say nuts. I thought you might have went there.
Oatmeal raisin. Come on. Oatmeal raisin.
I can tell you two things wrong with oatmeal raisin.
It's got fiber. It's got fruit. It's good for you. It's healthy.
Do you match your socks or just wear whatever you pull?
On rare occasions, I will match my socks to my shirt. This
Okay.
was important enough that I did wear red socks to match.
Oh, we lost
So-
the feed there for a second.
We're
You
good.
guys.
You said you match your socks to your shirt?
Well, I did today for you guys.
Okay.
Oh, thanks a lot.
That's a step above and beyond what I would do. I just make sure my socks match and that my belt matches my shoes. And that's as far as I'll go.
Okay.
That being said, I don't think my belt matches my shoes too.
All right. Let's fight. Is professional wrestling a sport?
Oh.
No, it is not a sport. It's
Oh.
entertainment.
Gymnastics is a sport, and that's all routines. I would say it's a sport.
Okay.
It may be contrived. It may be dramatized,
Yeah.
but it's still dancing. That's a sport.
Nope, you're wrong.
There you-
Fair enough. Fair enough.
All right. Best Star Wars character. You can see a few of them. And
Ooh.
Is the bounty hunter thing Boba Fett?
yeah.
Yes, that is
Yes, then that's what I choose.
the premier bounty hunter.
Okay.
That's a hard question, Tom. I would need some time to think about that one.
Well, it's Darth Vader all day. I don't know what you're thinking about.
He's good. The Emperor is delicious though in Return
Yeah.
of the Jedi.
Mhm.
Everything he says is gold in that movie.
I like Jar Jar.
Morning shower or night shower?
It just depends how dirty I am.
Before you go to bed? Okay.
Yes.
I like the morning shower to wake me up. But if I'm filthy.
Yeah, you're coming home from the job. I work at a movie theater, so I come home reeking of popcorn. It's in my clothes.
You're a
when I
night
had
shower.
hair, it was in my hair. I had to wash it out.
All right. Now here's the last one. If a dog were to wear pants, would he wear it just on the back hind legs, or would he wear it up on all four legs with 4 leg holes and have it halfway around his waist?
The dog would wear pants just on the hind legs.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a given, Tom. Who's wearing?
It's got 4
4-legged
legs. You
pants?
put pants in. You put pants over your legs, so you may.
The only if it was some sort of like Halloween costume thing where from the front the dog looked like a policeman or something, and it's like fake feet and he's got fake arms on the side or something. That's the only time I would put stuff on his front paws.
Or if the dog was fly fishing.
Yeah,
Yeah, then he would need.
and that's just common sense. He needs
Waiters.
waiters. Yeah.
Speaking of waiters, Molly got me a birthday present this week. Once again, she strikes out.
I got waiters when I was in 8th grade, and I loved them. There's a swamp in the back of my parents' yard. I would just go traipsing through there all the time. Best gift ever.
Really, I'm gonna
Yeah.
like these waiters.
Yeah.
We
'Cause
go
you know all
hunting in
the-
a swamp.
Well, I'm always talking about fly fishing and going. There's just clams everywhere that nobody's grabbing out of the river. How many times have I talked about the clams are just laying there
About the crawfish here in Ozaki County.
in Milwaukee River? I can't believe people aren't out there just scooping up all the free clams.
Now, are these just boots or are these like waist high
they were
overalls?
They come up past your
those,
tits.
Those are the good ones.
Those are the good ones?
Yeah, my neighbors then got boots after me, and he sank so deep in the mud, his boots got filled with mud. So you want the waist high guys.
Okay.
That's love right there, Molly.
Well, they're on their way back to Amazon or wherever she bought them already. Yet again, Molly strikes out on my birthday, even though I tell her never get me anything, please.
You are a hard man to please.
Yes, he is.
Oh, we only
Oh.
need these.
Bob says hi too. Bob's
Hey,
watching.
Bob. All right. So, what do you guys think about the Xbox deodorant? What do you think that smells like? Any guesses?
Mountain
I
Dew.
don't know what an Xbox smells like.
Well, it's
Plastic?
the video
Plastic?
game. Axe and Xbox are teaming up, so they have an Xbox deodorant and shower spray.
Now, all that matters is
The company is called Lynx in
what
the US.
women think of it. Do women enjoy the smell? Because I have smelled some nasty cologne, and then I've heard women that I know go, "Oh, I love that stuff." I'm like, "Really? You like that? It's awful." So, does it work? Do women not hate it?
I can tell you what it's made of.
Or the fellas, if that's what you're going for. No judgments here.
Kaffir, lime, and winter lemon, aromatic herbal middle notes of mint and sage, woody bottom notes of patchouli and clearwood.
What do you think, Molly?
Is that doing it for you?
That's not how I would define how an Xbox smells.
Are you swooning?
No.
So you're thinking Cheeto dust and dank basement.
And Mountain Dew.
And Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew came out with Gamer Fuel now. That's a flavor for
That's been
Mountain
out
Dew.
for a while.
What
Game
color?
Fuel.
What color is it?
I'm guessing it's just Mountain Dew that says Game Fuel.
No, I think it's orange.
Oh, is it? So
It's not a huge leap. It's already citrus. Go to orange.
all right. So Molly,
If you're sitting in your basement all day playing Xbox and you stink, either take a shower or put on some of that cologne.
I would have been happier with Xbox shower spray than my birthday present.
Shower spray.
Shower gel or whatever.
What is
they do.
shower spray?
That's what the shower does to you.
You do it after the shower.
That's Axe body spray, right?
Yeah, but you don't put it on in the shower. You'll wash
Which
it.
why did they had the greatest commercial ever when you just spray yourself and all the chicks come running. That was the greatest commercial.
Unless you're going for the fellas.
Well, there you go. Then you need the fella attractant. All right, so
That
these
commercial might be a bit scarier.
Yeah, I could see why that one's not on every
if I
channel.
put the chick label on a fella bottle and gave it to Mark for his birthday.
Hello.
Hey. All right. New invention came out. Some teenagers got an award for this. This is condoms that change color when they come in contact with STDs.
So, are you to put it on, and if the change is color, you drop everything and call a doctor?
That's what I'm thinking.
Larry says that stuff smells gamey.
Very
Condoms or the...
Yeah.
It sounds like it smells gamey. No, the game Xbox stuff.
All right, let's take some guesses. What color do you think it turns for chlamydia?
Ooh. Well, I'm going to say every bad thing it should turn red. Or does it different colors?
Different
for
colors
conditions?
for different conditions.
Wow.
There you go.
That is engineering right there.
So
That's
are you
interesting.
supposed to like plunge yourself in and then pull out and see what color it changed?
Right.
Yeah, you got to take a pause. That's what they're saying.
Seems like bad manners.
Is it like KY jelly? It has to...
Ooh, sorry, it's green. We're done.
We got to stop here. And you should also call the doctor.
That would suck if you put it on yourself and it changed the color, like before you even start. Like, oh,
My only concern is, in the throes of passion, are you going to stop?
if you see that it's green for chlamydia and you're like, it's just a pill,
If you're committed to the point where you have put on a contraceptive,
and you have inserted
do
already,
you have the self-control to send the shit back into the harbor?
Well, I'm guessing with chlamydia, it's just a pill. If you see a little bit of green, you'll be like, all right. But if you see it turn yellow for herpes, is that gonna...
That just seems like...
It'll turn purple for human papillomavirus and blue for syphilis.
What color's good?
Nothing is good.
Just clear.
Clear?
Yeah.
All right, so like stripes and polka dots are bad.
Larry says maybe put it on a finger first.
Can you rub this go-to rubber pad on yourself first?
Is this just for the fellas or is this for the...
Well, it's condoms.
The
so
partners as well.
I'm guessing it would be on the outside, so this is to see if the female has.
So if your partner has it. I assumed it was testing if you had it.
That's not what there's... I'm guessing here. Colors changing.
Okay, because you can have these things and not be aware of them sometimes. Like you can have...
Yeah, that's what I was saying. If you
Yeah.
put it on and it turns red, you're like, oh, crap.
Yeah. Okay.
Now I got to tell her I bought a red condom. All right. This week in Florida Man. This is a new segment that is going to be easy to fill some show with. There we go. A Florida man took a blowtorch to a ATM. Can you guys guess what happened next?
He burned all the money.
You got to guess what happened?
Yeah, he burned all the money. The ATM caught fire. You got nothing.
You're both wrong. He actually sealed it harder And
So he welded it shut.
he welded it even more shut.
Is anybody here a welder, Tom?
I've
Aaron,
never welded.
Molly?
No.
I've never welded either. So
I have experience.
Here we go.
I'm betting that he used what's called a plumber's torch, which wouldn't have done anything. So
He's dressed up like a Russian.
Okay.
There.
But why would you even think that was a good idea?
Well, he
Because
just
if
cutting
it does
off
go
hinges?
through, you burn the money. Like what?
Well, you burn some of the
drugs,
outside
that's
money.
why he thought it was a good idea.
Yeah.
This is Florida Man.
He needed meth bad.
Oh, it's Florida.
Florida
That
Man
explains it.
segment of the week.
So I suppose, I mean, I don't even know what a ATM lock looks like. Does it have giant
I think
like,
they were
sliding
doing the-
bolts like a safe? Or is it just...
The back of it must be where you can open it. So he was welding the hinges to try to just pull the door off.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just melted everything together.
So I think if I was designing an ATM, I would have like multiple, like 3 or 4 locks that are spaced out enough that it would take you too long to get in there. You draw attention to yourself.
You'd have to just steal the ATM and take it home and make a day of it.
People have tried that too.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it.
Take it home and...
And hit it with a sledgehammer like in Breaking Bad.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to Mark's story here. Mark,
Which story was this?
this was the one T. Krulos was talking about with the Loch Ness Monster.
Yes. Are you familiar with Loch Ness Monster, Darren?
I certainly am.
There was, last year, they were doing a DNA sampling survey. They were going to grab some material from, like, random parts of the lake. And the science is advanced now where they can determine not only all the species that theoretically live in the lake from that sample of dirt, and they can also give you a rough idea of the population of those species based on how much different DNA of that type of fish or whatever is in the dirt. So they took some samples from Loch Ness to determine what, if anything, is living in there. And they haven't released the results yet, but a guy just came out who's analyzing it, saying that he has some very surprising results that confirm one of 3 theories. And I'm pretty sure he's going to come out and say it's a sturgeon, because the other 2 are it's a dinosaur or it's something else.
I have a different theory.
Ooh.
He's going to say nothing because the tourism board is going to say, hey, you can't say that there's nothing in here.
Oh, you think you're so great with your science?
Yeah. It's millions and millions of dollars. People don't want to go to Scotland to see this big empty piece of shit lake with no Loch Ness monster.
There's still a castle on it. Darren, would you go to Loch Ness if science told you there was no monster?
It does make it more valuable if you think there could be a monster in there.
So you want some plausible possibility that it could be in there. All right.
Joe says Loch Ness was proven a hoax years ago.
Yeah.
Was it really though?
It's.
I mean, those pictures were hoaxes.
Yes, the surgeon's photo is confirmed to be a hoax.
Yes.
And the science in general does not bear out. The loch isn't large enough to support enough feeder fish.
Well, what they're
to
saying is
support a population of large anything.
the loch is pretty barren from what I hear. It's not a good source
Yeah.
of food
Yes.
for something of that
It's
size.
murky water. It is attached to the ocean, I believe,
Mhm.
but through very small creeks. So sturgeon and seals, or is it otters, whatever, small, fairly large things like a sturgeon or a seal can come and go from the loch. And that's probably the origin of most sightings. But, I still enjoy the mystery and the thrill of it. If someone said, hey, Mark, we're going to go to Scotland and we're going to go touring up there, I would want to stop at Loch Ness, regardless
I've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it fun?
Yeah.
Would you go again?
If they said there's
Sure.
no Nessie,
There we go.
Nessie's a joke. Do you
Well,
want to
no-
go visit Loch
they're-
Ness or do you want to hang out at the hotel and swim in the pool?
They're hiding it. It's a conspiracy. It's really there.
Well, it was like a boat ride down the loch, and then it ended at like these castle ruins that we get to go and walk through. It was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Okay. So you enjoyed the castle part and then,
And then-
looking at water part sucked?
And then there was a Loch Ness, like a Nessie gift store.
Well, that store's going to shut down.
I don't think so. The people who don't believe in Nessie will be bolstered by this, and the people who do are going to
Nessie's
ignore
It's
it.
just going to iron people into their belief even harder.
Yes.
when
This
they
is
say-
not going to change any minds. That's not how human psyche is. The human psyche is.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right. Well, the FBI leaked some Bigfoot information. Did you hear about the Bigfoot leak?
I certainly did.
I did not.
All right. Basically, it's investigation from the 1976, 1977 probe.
That's right about the time of was it 71?
Yeah.
DB Cooper.
Okay. There is a movie.
They've even been
DB.
in the same neighborhood.
They are. So, all in all, they basically have a hair and skin sample that they cannot identify.
Okay.
So that's what they're saying. We have something that we don't know what it is. So does that confirm that, of course, you don't have another sample of Bigfoot, you can't compare it?
Well, theoretically, if biology is anything, if Bigfoot did exist, it would look similar to other. You could tell if it was primate hair or if it was squirrel hair or stuff like that. You should be able to determine this is roughly something.
It's close to the deer family.
Okay, so then it's probably some sort of deer.
Yeah, I thought the FBI leak was the fact that somebody turned this evidence into them saying it was proof of Bigfoot. And the story was the FBI actually tested it.
Yeah.
And said it was most likely a deer.
Okay.
And that's the story that the FBI said, okay, we'll look into this Bigfoot thing.
We'll finally look into this. I'm a little more optimistic about Bigfoot than I am Loch Ness, but I'm still not putting any money on the table that Bigfoot exists.
Yeah, it's a hard claim, but I don't see why not.
It's more plausible. It's a larger area, more room for a breeding population of something to be up there.
It's a rainforest, the Pacific Northwest.
But
it's huge.
Yeah, it's
empty.
It's more plausible, but still less likely.
They got vampires and werewolves up there, and we didn't even know.
They do.
You couldn't
There's
even
no Bigfoot.
No Bigfoot? You're not a Bigfoot believer?
No.
Why is that? What killed it for you?
What killed it for me is everybody has a high-definition camera in their pocket now.
Yeah, that's
People
true.
are all over those woods. People have trail cameras.
And people
If
under
Bigfoot
30 can
was
whip
out
that
there,
thing out
we'd
and
see
take a selfie in 2 seconds flat. So
Well, it
there's-
messes with your electronics.
What does?
Bigfoot.
No.
Yeah.
That's now you're
How deep down the
reaching.
rabbit hole? I've heard Bigfoot is an alien sent
The-
down to
yes.
harvest gold, and then they just left when they got enough gold.
The more you get away, the further into the paranormal spectrum you get, the less plausible it becomes. If there is a Bigfoot, it's probably some sort of gorilla that we don't know about.
And they just found gorillas in the early 1900s in
Yes.
Africa.
Yes, so it wouldn't be unheard of, but nothing of that size has been discovered in the last 100 years because we've more or less seen everything.
He would have showed up on Google Earth by now.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money to be made if you did have a Bigfoot.
Well, there's the conspiracy. We got another conspiracy here. Okay, we'll just do that. Big Wood doesn't want Bigfoot to be found.
You mean like lumberjacks?
The lumber industry, the billions of dollar lumber industry says if they find a Bigfoot, their whole industry is going to crumble because they're going to turn it into a whole nature preserve and not let them cut down anything. So they supposedly are trying to come in Secret Service style and murder all the Bigfoots
Okay.
so people don't ever find them.
I was under the
Okay, now
impression
that I believe.
That you believe? That one?
I was under the impression most logging takes place on tree farms and not actual clear-cutting forests.
Well, just because you have a tree farm, there's still deer there. It's not empty and only trees.
Yeah, but it's not ecologically diverse enough to attract
Most
nature.
of the logging in that area, they are cutting forests.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not super familiar with it.
Well-
I just know there's more tree farms than people realize, but I don't know to what extent.
Joe says he thinks that the Patterson footage from 72 is real.
There you go.
And that
We
there's
talked
lots
about
of
that.
interesting
Yep.
theories on Bigfoot, all very interesting.
Well, the thing that makes sense is always follow the money. And if the logging companies have a stake in the game, they're going to want Bigfoot to not be real.
Okay. So how are they...
What's going to
keeping-
happen if we put a Bigfoot in a zoo and say they live in northern Canada? This is their habitat. This is the woods.
So you're speculating that every time someone does come up with evidence of Bigfoot, the logging company is coming in and is...
Big Wood is
Big Wood is busting in there
Yes.
and is
and getting rid of it.
suppressing them by
Yeah.
bribery or extortion or something.
Oh, yeah.
But like he said we have so many people with smartphones and high definition cameras. What are the odds that someone wouldn't have taken a picture and just sent it out and it's in the internet
and tweet it, and now it's
right?
And now, like your dick
there.
pic,
And then
it's
they
there
have-
forever, and it's impossible.
Big
to
Wood's got people that are just trolling the internet, saying this is fake, this is nothing, don't worry about it. Big Wood's all over Bigfoot.
Big Wood. You just want to keep saying Big Wood.
Well, who else would benefit? You guys want another conspiracy?
Sure.
Always.
James Holzhauer, you heard about the Jeopardy guy? He finally
Yes.
lost? People are saying he lost on purpose. And that
What?
goes back with the Ken Jennings lost on purpose, too.
Were they threatening him?
No. The conspiracy is that they didn't want him to take out Ken Jennings as the lead. He was only like 50,000 short out of 2.4 million to be the greatest Jeopardy champion of all time. James Holzhauer is a professional gambler, a sports gambler.
Okay.
And he's got a smile like a bear trap. And Ken Jennings is this like squeaky clean Mormon guy.
Oh, okay. So they
everybody
want
likes.
the image of the guy who cleaned up to be the wholesome neighbor type, not the Vegas gambler with cigar and a bourbon soda in his hand.
Well, it was really weird because his original wager, he was only down by like 3,000, but he wagered less. That if he got it right and the girl got it wrong and wagered 0, he would still lose.
So he already did the mental math wrong in his head.
No,
this guy's a freaking
he's not done
genius.
the math wrong.
He didn't do the math wrong. And it was, the question was stacked because the final answer was, or the final Jeopardy was a Shakespeare question, and this lady playing him was a major who wrote her, like, thesis on Shakespeare.
Okay.
Joe says it's a rating thing. The guy wasn't popular enough. They're all rigged.
Okay.
What do you think, Darren?
They must have paid him to
Well, he was on, like, 40 episodes or something, and it just so happened that day he brought in a get well card for Alex Trebek from his daughter. Like a final, here you go, I know I'm going to be gone.
Could be.
And they already proved that quiz show was rigged.
Oh, that was like 100 years ago. When was it, the 60s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Isn't
I think,
there like stiff penalties for rigging a TV game show though?
isn't it
I bet you
entertainment? It's professional wrestling, so Jeopardy is a sport.
Yeah, but I bet you because of that quiz show scandal, there probably are some laws in place.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a documentary about the Price is Right bidding.
Yes. The perfect
Drew Carey
bid.
was talking about the legality of rigging the show when they were accused of that. So I think there are some stiff penalties because it's being presented as a fair game show.
Mm-hmm. It's a really good documentary. I think it's on Netflix right now. It was on Hulu for the longest time. The Perfect Bid.
Winning Bid, I think.
Yeah, something like that. It's
really good.
great. I'd recommend everybody go watch it. If I think Tom would watch it, I'd make him watch a documentary for our movie review show.
Or as Molly calls it, documentary.
Oh, shut up.
Same thing. documentary, whatever. Tomato.
Well, James Holzhauer is saying it's not a conspiracy, so.
Well, I mean, he's...
Joe
if I were
says it's all
him
about
and
ratings.
they give me a big pile of money to bomb, I'd do it.
How about you already made $2.4 million? How about I'm just going to keep you bent over the barrel and just keep taking all your money every week?
Because then they will make the questions harder and harder and harder until they do destroy him. And that may be what they were doing, and that's fine
That's
with
why
me.
they're like, okay, we got these special Final Jeopardy questions that, okay, you wrote a thesis on, going up against them. Like
It's only fun to watch people succeed if it's hard to succeed. If it's easy for them, it's not fun to watch.
All right, Darren. Take us through a little bit of DC Cooper, like a college...
DC Cooper?
DB Cooper.
Who is this guy?
DB Cooper, like a college 101 course before we get into some of the deeper conspiracies
For those
about that.
who aren't familiar.
This is Darren Schaefer, the Cooper Vortex. So we are going to dig into some DB Cooper. I'm so into comic books that I can't say D without
Just
a
say
C
Dan.
after it.
Dan Cooper.
Dan Cooper, the Cooper Vortex. If you like this, like and share. So let's get into it.
So DB Cooper, what happened is November 24th, 1971, Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, A dude in a trench coat or light rain coat and a business suit with a briefcase goes into Portland International Airport, buys a ticket to Seattle in cash, writes down on the ticket the name Dan Cooper. In 1971, you didn't have to show any identification or anything. You just wrote your own name on your ticket. That was it. I've read he was one of the last people to board the flight. It's about a 45-minute flight from Portland to Seattle. He sits in the back of the plane, and then shortly after takeoff, around 2:45 p.m., he hands a stewardess a note, Florence Schaffner, and she puts the note in her pocket because she assumes it's just some business traveler hitting on her again. So she walks away. He notices she doesn't read the note, so he grabs her again. He says, "Ma'am, I've got a bomb. You might want to take a look at that note."
I had a nickel for every time I use that one in the bar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, another guy hitting on me. And that was the 70s. You could get away with an ass smack. And
yeah, you could smoke and drink on... We can drink on planes now, but you can smoke on the planes. Like I said, no security. He just walked on. Yeah, had a bomb in his satchel.
And the flight attendants, they were really good-looking gals.
Yeah.
I mean, they were really good-looking.
They were fly girls.
It was probably a tipped wage kind of situation where, you don't hire unattractive, unfriendly bartenders. You hire charismatic people to get tips.
Well, they weren't allowed to accept tips.
Well, didn't he give her a tip? I thought I saw. Yeah, he tried to pay for his booze with a 20.
Okay.
Yeah, that she couldn't take any gratuity.
Oh, I did not know that.
He hands these notes off. He's demanding, before they land in Seattle, when they land in Seattle, he wants 4 parachutes at the ready, 2 front chutes and 2 back chutes. And he wants $200,000 in negotiable American currency.
Okay.
It takes the FBI a while to gather everything up. They land in Seattle.
Real quick, what's the modern equivalent of the 200,000?
I got that down. 1.2 million.
Okay, there we go.
Yes. Yeah, so it's a lot of money today. The stewardess gets off the plane in Seattle. She grabs his 4 parachutes and his $200,000. They let the passengers off. And then he had some really specific flight instructions. So he wanted them to fly to Mexico City. He wanted the landing gear down. He wanted the airspeed to be about 150 knots. Just above the stall speed of the aircraft, and his flaps set to 15 degrees. The pilots communicated back with him that under those circumstances, they wouldn't have enough fuel to make it to Mexico City. They talk about a few fueling restops that are possible. They agree on Reno, Nevada. Then Cooper says, "We're going to take off with the rear air stairs down." The pilot calls into radio control, and they aren't sure if the plane can even take off like that. They tell Cooper that it's not safe with a fully fueled plane to take off with the rear air stairs down, and they're not even sure it's possible. He tells them that it is safe, it's fine, but I'm not going to waste time arguing. I'll just lower them in the air. The pilot then communicates back to the air traffic controller and asks, can the rear air stairs be lowered in flight? Is that going to make the plane crash? And they're told no. But they had to contact Boeing to get that information. The air traffic controllers didn't know that. The pilots didn't know that.
I suppose, when would that come up? So
but Cooper knew that. Cooper knew more about the plane he was hijacking than the pilots did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So they take off. He just has the one stewardess in the back. She shows him how to lower the rear air stairs, asks if he needs anything else. He says no. And then she makes a joke that, wow, that's a lot of money, as he's trying to pack the money and get himself ready.
So the FBI came and they negotiated the money, right?
No negotiation. He said he wants $200,000. They ended up giving him $200,000.
So when they landed to refuel, that's when they gave it to him, right?
Yeah, he said he wanted everything ready before the plane landed. So when the plane landed, they had the $200,000 and the 4 parachutes.
Okay.
And he let all the passengers off, except some people. Who stayed on?
Except the flight crew.
Okay.
They let 2 of the stewardesses off. They only kept 1 on. Tina Mucklow remained on the plane.
Well, he needs his drink.
And that's not the first stewardess that he talked to, right? This is a different stewardess.
It is. The first stewardess he talked to, for whatever reason, a second stewardess ended up taking over.
Okay.
And she sat next to him. They were in the air for 5 hours. And she sat next to him, served him drinks. She lit his cigarettes, and said that that he was calm, cool, and collected. You know, she said in the press conference right after that he did not appear nervous at all.
We have a question from one of our viewers. Joe says he wants to know what you think about the money found on the beach, on how it got there.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get there.
We'll get into
there.
that, Joe.
We're going to go this chronologically.
Okay.
Yep.
So, plane takes off. She shows him how to lower the rear air stairs. And then, from there, he tells her he's got everything.
He knew how to lower them. He was just looking at her ass.
Probably.
Yeah, okay.
And then, the last time she saw him, he was putting a parachute on. He got 2 parachutes. One was a modern, for 1971, sport parachute that was steerable. The other was an older military parachute. And he actually chose the older military-style parachute. I've heard people say that proves he didn't know anything about parachuting, because he should have taken the modern sport chute that was steerable. But then the other argument against that I've heard is, you know, he was comfortable with the military-style chute, so that's why he chose that. But it was the better choice, because jumping out at that speed, that civilian chute probably would have been torn to shreds. And the military chute, the guy I heard speak about it said it was the pit bull of the parachute industry, just tough. So that was the better choice to make.
So why do you think he asked for 4 parachutes?
He asked for 4 parachutes because it gave the FBI the idea that he was going to force someone to jump with him.
Okay. So then they wouldn't give him a bag full of pots and pans.
The FBI sabotaged the chutes, and he took a stewardess with him. Then the FBI just murdered a stewardess.
Yeah.
Okay. That never occurred to me. That's good.
That's
good thinking. This DB guy knows what he's doing.
It's very well thought out.
He watched Looney Tunes and saw that the coyote had pots and pans falling out of the wall.
The only thing in the story that I think is interesting is he seems like he knows a lot about the plane and the parachutes. He knows how to open the door. He knows the rear gate. He knows he can take off with the rear gate down. But he didn't know that the plane couldn't make it to Mexico City in that configuration. Kind of strikes me that he would know all these very specific things, but then not know this fuel calculation, speed, wind resistance thing. So
I think he didn't look into that because I believe his plan was to jump out almost immediately.
Okay.
So
I don't care if you guys make it to Mexico City. That's not where I'm going. Type thing.
Yeah, I don't think he was concerned with where the plane was landing.
Okay, so keep going with the mystery now. This is where it starts getting good.
So she goes back into the cockpit. She sees him putting a chute on. That's the last time anyone ever saw D.B. Cooper. Shortly after that, approximately 8:12.
Oh, we're pinging out here on the Skype.
The pilot noticed a pressure bump. Oh, I'm sorry. But
yeah, can you go back like 10 seconds and start over? We lost your signal for a second.
Okay.
8:12 p.m.
8:12, 8:13. The pilot notices a pressure bump in the cabin.
Okay.
That causes him to actually have to correct the flight path of the plane. They note this. Then the plane lands in Reno with the rear air stairs down. No sign of D.B. Cooper. He jumped out somewhere along that path. What they did to recreate that is they actually put a 200-pound weight on the rear air stairs and pushed it off over the ocean to see if it would recreate that pressure bump of him standing on the stairs and jumping off. They believe it did, so they determined where the plane was at 8:12, 8:13, and used that to estimate what they refer to as the drop zone, where D.B. Cooper most likely landed.
Okay. And then nothing was ever found again. They put out search parties.
Yeah, the timing of the jump was really good because it was about to be winter in the Pacific Northwest, so that area where he jumped would have been covered in snow. Shortly after the jump. He jumped on Thanksgiving weekend, so it would have been hard to get resources to look for D.B. Cooper in the woods. He actually had over a 48-hour head start before they had boots on the ground in that area.
Okay.
So if he did land in that area, he probably could have gotten out before anyone looked for him. It wasn't until spring that they put the National Guard in the area. They put 200 dudes on the ground and just had them sweep through the woods. And they found a body, but it was believe a teenage girl, an unrelated case.
Okay.
So did they find anything at all? Did they find the parachutes? Did they find anything?
Nope. When the plane landed in Reno, the only thing left behind was his black clip-on tie. He asked for his notes back. They recovered 8 cigarette butts that he smoked while he was sitting in the back of the plane. But in 1971, there was no DNA, so I was just shown this FBI document that talks about the cigarette butts, that they should be looked at for evidence. If they don't see any evidence, then throw them away. So what probably would be the best evidence now, the FBI chose to throw away.
Well, I heard that he had ordered a bourbon and soda on the plane, and they didn't keep track of his glass either. So did they do fingerprints back then? Could they have pulled fingerprints off his cup?
I believe they could. I think the problem with that, I read that the stewardess took his glass and then just kind of threw it in with all the other dirty glasses from the flight.
Okay.
So they couldn't be sure which one was his.
So do you think that's a lucky break for him? Or do you think that Tom was mentioning some people think the stewardess was in on it? What's your thought on that?
Yeah, there's a bunch of different theories about that.
I've heard many theories about the stewardess being in on it. There is some questionable behavior and some questionable life choices, I guess, after the hijacking on one stewardess in particular. I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't believe that she was in on it.
So now, as Joe was asking, in 1980, some money did wash up because they kept track of all the bills that they handed D.B. Cooper.
Yes, so the FBI, they weren't marked bills or anything, but the FBI kept a record of all the serial numbers, and that was 10,000 $20 bills, and they were non-sequential, so it would have just been a physical list of 10,000 serial numbers. And then they gave that to banks to check against $20 bills. So it would have been impossible to track them. And then there was no evidence of D.B. Cooper found. And then in 1980, a boy having a picnic with his family uncovers these 3 bundles of money. They're in terrible shape. He picks them up and the rubber bands off of them crumble. They took them home, tried to clean them up. Maybe, it's money.
Yeah, take them to the bank. Yeah.
That's what I do. Really get it cleaned up. So they ended up calling the FBI. The FBI confirmed it was part of the D.B. Cooper ransom money.
Wow.
And where exactly was that found?
It was found on Tina Bar, which is this sandy beach-looking area off the Columbia River, and it would have been about 10 miles west of the flight path. So it's in a very odd location. They dug up the whole area. They didn't find any more money or anything. And no one really has an explanation for how the money got there.
I've heard that that's actually upriver, so it's not the money couldn't have come from the supposed landing zone to get there because the river flows the other way. Is that true?
No, it is downriver, but where he jumped, there isn't any real solid connection to get to that point in the river.
Okay.
Because there was a theory that it floated down the Washougal watershed and then ended up on Tina Bar. A guy interviewed, Tom Kay, he actually bundled 25 ones together, threw it in the river to see if it would float down.
Okay.
It didn't end up working.
Okay. You got another question there, Mo?
Well, Joe also says he thinks that D.B. Cooper knew all of that. I'm guessing he's talking about that the plane wouldn't make it to Mexico with the fuel. I think he planned to jump and confuse people where and when he jumped. And he also thinks they were looking in the wrong area.
Do you think
That's possible.
He stashed the money there to throw him off the scent at all?
I think the money on Tina Bar was most likely a plant. I don't know why it was planted or who it was planted by, but I don't see any other means for it to end up where it did.
And that's the only money that ever got recovered from the event?
That's correct.
Okay.
Approximately $5,800.
So let's start at the top. Do you think he survived the landing?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I interviewed this dude, Marty Andrade, and he makes a very compelling case for Cooper surviving the jump. Even with 0 to very little parachuting experience, he believes it's the survivable jump.
Okay. Are there? I imagine it's all wilderness, right? There's no roads or anything. So, do you think? How do you think he then got out of the woods? Do you think he just walked, or did someone pick him up? Did he have? Sorry, I'm such an anal plan person that in my head, like, I would have to have someone down there in some area that I'm going to meet up with, and they're going to get me out of there, because who knows how long he could be walking through those woods.
How do you communicate with that person that's picking you up?
Yeah.
You got a guy in a truck with binoculars.
We're spoiled by cell phones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if you had a guy in a truck with binoculars, it's dark out, it's raining, he wouldn't know exactly where he's going to jump.
And he's in dress shoes and a tie. I suppose he took his tie off. Did he have any other baggage with him? Other than the money and the parachutes?
A couple people say they saw what was either a green canvas sack or a brown paper bag.
Okay.
No one knows what's in that. He did show the stewardess the bomb. He opened it for a second, and she said that it had 8 red sticks and some wires. It looked to her like a bomb.
So he took the bomb with him when he jumped.
So that's how you signal your buddy. I'll be where the big bomb noise was.
Yeah, but then everyone else is signaled as well.
Well, they didn't even get there for 2 days if you're in the Pacific Northwest.
So if he took the bomb with him, do you think the bomb was real? Or do you think it was a fake bomb?
I don't believe the bomb was real. I don't think it needs to be real.
Okay.
He knows they're going to take it seriously, so why have a real bomb?
To notify.
In case you get caught, it'll reduce the sentence. You can get arrested for shooting blanks at someone, but you're still going to jail for shooting blanks at someone.
Well, I was thinking, if you got somebody in the area and you have a large bomb, 8 sticks of dynamite is pretty loud.
Well, yeah, I don't want to parachute from a plane with a bomb on me.
I don't know. How else are you going to find the guy? I think would be...
But nothing was found, so he didn't, throw the bomb out of the plane.
Hey, at about 8:30, roll the window down in your truck.
They would have found the bomb, though, all those people searching few days after.
No way.
So he must have taken it with him, landed with it, so it can't have been a real bomb. Because that's too dangerous.
I think it was...
I've heard people say that because they said they were red sticks, they were most likely road flares.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he used that to be seen, to be found.
Okay. Road flares make sense, too. I'll be the shooting star coming down in my parachute. Oh, you wouldn't want to light one while you're flying.
Joe says he thinks all he had to do was make it to a payphone.
In the middle of the
that's
woods?
very true. I mean, in that area, there would have been a handful of businesses.
Okay, so there would be a couple of roads. So it would be navigable by cars. You could theoretically somehow meet up with somebody.
Yeah, I would say that area is probably 75% super dense forest, maybe 25% farmland.
Okay. So, who do you think are the prime suspects for who could be D.B. Cooper?
Who could be D.B. Cooper?
Darren's got this figured out.
There's probably 12 people or so, maybe 12 to 20, that I think are possible suspects that could be D.B. Cooper. The FBI claims to have investigated thousands of people and dozens of deathbed confessions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was reading some of those, and it's...
I suppose what's the harm in a false deathbed confession? They're not going to arrest you.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one reason that you have people admitting to being D.B. Cooper, other than the fact that it's super cool, is that he didn't physically hurt anyone.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't hurt any stewardesses. He didn't murder the pilot. He didn't blow the plane up. He didn't leave a dead body in a car at the airport.
And
so
he
was able to do all this without anyone getting physically hurt.
And the money was from an insurance company, right?
Yeah, most of it, I want to say 90% of it, the insurance company was responsible for, and then the airline ended up paying 10% of it.
So he didn't steal someone's life savings. He stole money from an insurance company who we all hate and a business. So I could see the folk hero angle.
The Robin Hood love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People get Robin Hood wrong, but sort of.
And he was asked in the air, one of the stewardesses asked him if he had a grudge against the airline. And he responded, "I don't have a grudge against your airline, ma'am. I just have a grudge."
Okay.
I can identify with that.
So some of these copycat hijackings, it seemed like the police were done negotiating with them. A lot of them got sniped after D.B. Cooper.
Yeah, D.B. Cooper was the first one to hijack a plane and then jump out of it.
He ruined it for the rest of us.
It was a new and unique crime. And then there were a couple of copycats after that, and I think the FBI really wanted to curb that so it wasn't happening all the time.
Yeah, snipe that guy out real quick.
The one I heard about, they caught him within a few days. When did the first copycat who they captured, how long did that take them to find him? Like a week or two or something?
Yeah, I believe it was 3 days.
Yeah.
Richard Floyd McCoy, who is a popular suspect for being D.B. Cooper.
Yep.
Mormon Sunday school teacher, kind of down on his luck, had some military experience. He hijacks a plane shortly after with a fake hand grenade and an unloaded gun. And I believe the fake hand grenade was a paperweight. Like a legit, this is a paperweight hand grenade.
Okay. They used to have them in the Army for training, the fake hand grenades. When people would fall asleep in classes, they would hand it to you and pull the pin, and you wouldn't know it was fake, so you had to hold it so you wouldn't fall asleep.
My dad was in the Army Reserve. We have a couple of those in our basement.
Yeah.
Played a lot with those when I was a kid.
Awesome.
They're hollow. They're empty.
So, yeah.
But, I mean, I don't think Richard Floyd McCoy is D.B. Cooper. His attempt was pretty sloppy. He was caught right after. He left his notes for hijacking the plane at the airport. He didn't...
Like he forgot to bring them on the plane?
Correct. They were left sitting in the waiting room.
That's something I would do.
Okay.
He ends up going to jail, or going to prison for that skyjacking. He escapes by stealing a garbage truck and ramming it through the gates of the jail. A few weeks later, he ended up dying in a shootout with the FBI. The FBI agent that kills him ends up writing a book saying that he shot D.B. Cooper.
Okay.
Oh, he just wanted to shoot D.B. Cooper. He didn't.
I mean, that's a fun story. If you're making a movie, this is not a bad story to draw your inspiration from.
Well, it was right after.
That's one thing about this is whether or not these people are D.B. Cooper, they all have these crazy, interesting lives. And there's just one sliver that's D.B. Cooper.
So who's your next, what's another suspect that you think could be?
Someone who could be D.B. Cooper, that's probably my favorite suspect of them all, is Barb Dayton.
Okay.
You had Barb Dayton on, right?
I had the Foremans on the show.
Okay.
Barb Dayton has passed away, but the Foremans are the family that...
Okay.
They lived with her for a while, and they were good friends with her for years and years. But Barb Dayton was born Robert Dayton, was a merchant marine, ended up being a prisoner of war for a while, in a biker gang. I mean, just a badass dude. And then becomes the first person in Washington State to get gender reassignment surgery.
Which I didn't know we were doing this back then. Yeah,
yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is crazy. And then...
Oh, so that happened in 69.
Yes,
so that means theoretically she was, or was in the, I don't know how long transitioning takes. She was in the process of transitioning. If she is DB Cooper, she was in the process while she did this.
It would have been post-op.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so she becomes dissatisfied with her life, unhappy, wants to prove to herself that she's still a badass.
Mm-hmm.
So she commits the DB Cooper skyjacking, and ends up basically throwing the money away. It wasn't about the money.
It was for the thrills? Or to prove you could still do it? Okay.
She told a bunch of wild stories to the Foremans. When she passed away, they started investigating her life, and they verified all of the wild stories except for the D.B. Cooper one.
Okay.
Wow.
It's a great story.
And,
I highly recommend the book that they wrote on it. And the Foremans are just great people. The book is The Legend of D.B. Cooper, Death by Natural Causes.
So let's go back to the money for a second. So it was a little over $1 million in today's value. That's not a whole lot of money. Like, if someone was doing this today, I think they would ask for a lot more than just $1 million, or the equivalent. So that might lend to the idea that it wasn't about the money. It was, the money was just there to prove that it was, to make it hard. So, yeah, that's plausible.
So what was the grudge that this Barbara Dayton had?
Her grudge would have been against the FAA. She wanted to be a commercial pilot, but there was a problem with her vision, and so she could never get that commercial rating.
Okay.
So I have I don't have a grudge with your airline, but I have a grudge would make sense.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just piecing in the dialogue that we had. Why? So, okay.
Joe said that there's towns that celebrate D.B. Cooper.
Well, I know
there is a town that celebrates D.B. Cooper.
Have you been there?
I did. It doesn't go on anymore. There was a celebration called D.B. Cooper Days. And everyone would get to this little tavern called the Aerial Store, which is absolutely in the middle of nowhere. I mean, you're driving 20 miles down a 2-lane highway in the woods, and then all of a sudden you're at the Aerial Store. And for D.B. Cooper Days, there would be cars lined up on the street all over the place.
Nice.
But unfortunately, when the owner of that place died, Donna Elliott, the county took away their food handler's permit, their license to sell beer and wine.
Okay.
Because the building will never meet modern food and safety codes.
Okay.
So,
all right.
I did interview the current owner, who is her son, and he said it would be well over $100,000 to bring it up to current to code and regulation, and the building is only worth $40,000 or something like that.
You could have your event at a different building. I'm sure there's a venue somewhere, a wedding barn in the Pacific Northwest that we could use to have a D.B. Cooper festival.
Now, when
we're working on it.
We were talking earlier, you said that there's a bunch of different theories between, I don't know, what would you call it, rival groups of what happened?
Rival researchers, yeah.
There we go.
One reason I started the show is I was so fascinated by this group of people, and they call themselves the Cooper Vortex because the story sucks you in and you just can't get out. And if you go on the forums, DB Cooper Forum or the Drop Zone Skydiving Forum, you see these people that they've dedicated their whole lives to solving this case, to working this case, but a lot of them do not get along at all. They're completely at odds with each other. They're threatening lawsuits. There was a bomb threat called in against someone who was going to speak at the Auburn Public Library.
Yeah.
People going to other people's houses in the middle of the night.
What?
So what are they butting heads on?
Is it because they all think it was this person and they're then working backwards to prove it was that person, and they're mad at people who are doing the same thing to other people about other potential? Okay.
Exactly. I'll go around and I'll say, I'm pretty sure that Tom is D.B. Cooper. It's Tom. I'm 100% certain. And then somebody else will say, it's not.
I think it was Molly. I think it was Molly, and you're full of shit.
And then all of a sudden that leads to bomb threats and me showing up at your house with a bat at midnight.
That's kind of sad, because you would think they would all be pooling their resources and trying to get to the bottom of this. I suppose on that note, do you think we'll ever learn? They are
all pooling their resources, but then everyone's trying to take credit for different things. Okay. And
do you think this will ever get solved?
Stupid, but mine are brilliant.
Do you think we'll ever know who Dan Cooper was?
I don't know. I really don't know. When I first started this, I was more certain who probably was D.B. Cooper. The more I've researched this, the more I have no idea.
Okay. What do you think what would it take for us to figure this out? Like, obviously there's been deathbed confessions. Other than finding the body in the woods, what would someone have to have with them to prove they were D.B. Cooper? The money, I guess?
The money would be great. If you could show up with a parachute and a couple of $20 bills, that would really solve the case.
Okay.
Outside of that, they're working, I've heard a couple of people talk about maybe doing an MVAC test on the tie, see if they could get a more complete DNA profile. And then some of this ancestral or genealogical DNA could be done to determine who D.B. Cooper was.
Well, because they didn't have the
Golden State Killer.
Because they didn't have the DNA testing back then. Like, has this tie been properly stored, or has it been handled by
Probably
by
50
by
guys.
deputies and forensics people who were just touching it with their bare hands. Like how
Some guy probably wore it to a Halloween party as DB Cooper.
How
one year.
useful is it? Is it potentially contaminated to the point where it has no use?
Well, interestingly, most of the forensic work done on the tie was done by a civilian.
Okay.
A guy that I interviewed, Tom Kay. For whatever reason, the FBI seemed to be just done with it. It's 40 years has gone by. We're probably not going to find the guy. So the FBI agent who was assigned the cold case, he interestingly allowed the civilian team access to all of the evidence the FBI has.
Okay.
Maybe it was to just get free work done, but
that'll do it.
All the forensic work done on the case was done by Tom Kay, who's been on my show.
Okay.
And a lot of interesting things were found on the tie. The FBI says they have a partial DNA profile, but it can only primarily be used to rule people out. It wouldn't definitively pin it on a suspect. But Tom Kay found rare earth minerals and exotic metals on the tie.
Okay.
So who would be wearing a clip-on tie that would be around pure titanium that were found on the tie?
Okay. Interesting. Well, yeah, who would have a titanium tie?
Yeah, that's...
Who would have a titanium tie in 1971? The aerospace industry was using titanium, but only really as an alloy. Pure titanium, from what I've read, was primarily only used in like anti-corrosive environments. Maybe you were going to make a vat to fill with acid for some chemical company.
Okay.
In that case, you might use pure titanium in 1971.
Interesting. Okay.
And your show is the Cooper Vortex. You started that a while back, and you've got some big names on your show that are really into discovering this DB Cooper mystery.
Yeah, I mean, you interviewed the guy who's the FBI guy who was working on it, did you say?
Yeah.
I haven't interviewed the FBI guy. I interviewed the guy the FBI let do all the forensic work.
Yeah, wow.
On the case.
Well done.
When I started this, what I really wanted, because I listened to probably 50 hours a week on podcasts, and I've always been interested in the DB Cooper case. So I would type in DB Cooper on my podcast app, and there would be 15 episodes that would talk about DB Cooper, and they were all the same. It was a conspiracy theory show that does Bigfoot and ghosts and the Loch Ness Monster, and then they're going to do a DB Cooper episode, and it's going to be 45 minutes. And the first 25 minutes is going to go over the hijacking. And then the last 20 minutes will be the hosts discussing who they think the DB Cooper is. And in that 20 minutes, they'll decide on one and the episode's over.
And mystery solved.
Mystery solved. And I'm so far down this rabbit hole that none of those were satisfying for me at all. I wanted a podcast that was 100% about DB Cooper and would really get into the weeds on it. So I decided, you know what? I'll create the podcast. So I emailed 5 people and said, hey, I'm thinking about doing this podcast. Would you be interested in being on this show potentially? And I thought if I could get 2 of those 5 people to agree to it, I will make the podcast. And within a week, all 5 people said they would be on my show that doesn't exist yet.
Wow.
So I had to actually produce the show. So I drove
now I have to do it.
Yeah, now I have to do it. So I drove to Washington. I interviewed these people, and it was absolutely great. Then, unfortunately, I ran out of skill, and I sat on these interviews for a few months. I tried to turn it into a show myself, and I just wasn't talented enough to do that. So I reached out to my friend Russell.
We know all about running out of skill.
Yeah, Russell was able to turn my interviews into the show that I wanted. I wanted kind of like a corny Unsolved Mysteries vibe, and not a lot of production, just to be primarily about the interview itself. So Russell puts my show together, and he does a great job.
Excellent.
So have you? What do you think of some of the documentaries that have been out there? A couple years ago, the History Channel did a big documentary. National Geographic had one a little shortly before that. What do you think of those and their approach to it?
I love them. I love any DB Cooper content, so keep it coming.
I don't think you're going to love...
The documentary was really good. It points to Rackstraw, who is a popular suspect, but he's a little bit young. There's another documentary out, D.B. Cooper, The Real Story, that talks about Walter Recca, and they play his confession tapes on there.
Okay.
He confessed to his friend, but said, you cannot play these tapes till after I die. So they sat on him for a while till Walter died. Then there's a book on Walter, written by Carl, who he confessed to. And then Joe Koenig, who's a forensic linguist I just had on my show, he went over the confession tapes. And he believes that Walter Recca is D.B. Cooper. So
Okay.
that's one I would really check out. D.B. Cooper, The Real Story, if you're going to watch a documentary. I think it's available on Amazon for like $7.
That's not too bad. I can look that up.
All these people that confess to be D.B. Cooper seem to be military veterans with parachute team experience.
Well, there probably had to be a prerequisite from the use of the military chute, because who else, other than ex-military, would even feel comfortable using a military chute?
It would be a bold choice for that to be your first jump.
Yeah.
You just love America so much that I'll take the military.
Well, this was in 71. How old was he? Was he 40-ish when D.B. Cooper was 40-ish when this happened?
Yeah, the suspect said he was in his mid-40s.
So, possible Korean War veteran? He's too young for World War II.
Yeah, or even World War II
It could be?
on the
Okay.
later side of that.
Okay. So, yeah.
But, I mean, there are suspects ranging from 26 years old to 53 at the time of the skyjacking.
One thing that I think is funny is just how bland and generic that composite sketch of his face is. That could literally be a million different people.
Yeah.
Dude, I think that's the reason there are so many suspects, is there are two sketches of Cooper, and they're both different.
And they're
One
both dull as
looks kinda
dishwater.
Yeah, one kind of looks like Bing Crosby, and the other one kind of looks like Cary Grant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it could really fit so many guys, and you get to decide which sketch matches your suspect better.
Mm-hmm. So why are there two different sketches? Were they made at the same time, or were they?
If
was
that
one made
sketch
separately?
smiles, it could be Steve Buscemi, too. Get a bad grill in there.
I think there are two sketches. I could be wrong about this, but I believe you have the original sketch, the black and white one, and then the later sketch, the color one. I believe that was done for Unsolved Mysteries.
There's one with shades on too. Is that?
Yeah, both sketches actually show him with shades on.
Okay.
Because after he gave the stewardess the note, he put sunglasses on, which is hilarious.
Yeah, I would have had him on the whole time, personally. But...
Molly, hit my screen up here. I'm going to show some of the money that was found in some of these sketches. You got my screen up?
Oh, you're putting this on the...
Yeah, we're going to put that. This will be
good.
on the YouTube here. Here's some of the planes. A couple of the sketches there. We got more plane.
So
money.
what first got you interested in D.B. Cooper?
I lived in Woodland, Washington, which would be the closest town to the drop zone. So it was a very local story.
Local legend, gotcha.
Yeah, absolutely. Local legend. I just had kind of a passing interest in it. Then I was given this book, Skyjack, as a gift by Jeffrey Gray. I read that. It leads to another book on D.B. Cooper. I read that. And I've read 12 or 13 books on the case now at this point.
Before you know it, you're in a seedy dark alley buying books off some guy. Come on, man, just one more.
Before I know it, I was getting into a car in a dark parking lot.
Oh, there we go. With Mr. X. Yep.
with Bradley Collins I interviewed. He believes his dad was D.B. Cooper.
Okay.
And when I showed up for that interview, it was a very unique situation.
Fascinating. Okay.
All right. Well, your show is the Cooper Vortex. Where can we find that to get even deeper into the D.B. Cooper mystery?
You can find us wherever you get your podcasts from. Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Google Podcasts, CastBox, Spotify.
Some of the later episodes are on YouTube. I was looking at those.
Yeah, I have put a few episodes on YouTube. I'll probably put all of them up there. But there's no video portion. I just put them on the audio podcast on YouTube.
Awesome. Excellent. Darren, thank you for coming on. That was awesome. Before you go, you have a podcast. You started it all. Your opinion is more important than other people's. So who's D.B. Cooper? Barb? Going with Barb?
I don't know who D.B. Cooper is.
Okay.
Okay.
If I got to pick, I would like it to be Barb because I
Okay.
think that story is pretty great.
Okay. So you're not placing any money in Vegas on who's DB Cooper.
We have another question. Has the statute run out on the whole Cooper thing?
Oh, that is on my list. I didn't ask it. The statute, I did a little research, is not out because they opened it up. Some special law, correct me if I'm wrong, that they said that DB Cooper can still be prosecuted because they kept the investigation open.
Like it's a special law just for him.
They issued what's called a John Doe indictment. So
Indictment, that was the
John
word.
Doe was actually indicted of the crime. They don't know who John Doe is. So
Okay.
he's already been charged with the crime. They just haven't figured out his name, is the way they got around that.
Huh.
And they did that a few days before the statute of limitations ran out. So if Cooper was sitting on his couch and saw that in the news, he had Tuesday marked down for
Tuesday's the
statute
big
of
day.
limitations running down.
Yeah.
And I
cancel
couldn't
that press
imagine
conference.
hearing that they did that.
That's crazy.
Excellent. All right, guys. June is Gay Pride Month, not to be confused with October, which is Gay Pride History Month. So Pride Fest is going on right now at Milwaukee at Summerfest. So
I've
if
been to
you're
Pride Fest a couple times.
Yeah, if you're down there, keep hanging out. Stay there. We will come in a month. Keep the party
So they
going.
can go home
Summerfest.
and come back.
No, you stay there and keep the party going, and we will meet you there July 6th at Summerfest.
One thing I love about Pride Fest is the huge cross section of humanity that's there.
Yeah.
There's the weird biker people, there's the old middle-aged ladies, there's the young hip people dancing around the corner. It's every slice of America that falls into that category. They're all there.
Awesome. Well, have fun. Wisconsin is passing a bill for alcohol delivery to be acceptable to have alcohol delivered to your house now.
Ooh, that would have been dangerous for us.
I know. Well, Wisconsin's
Want
got...
to reduce drinking and driving?
Yeah. Wisconsin has stupid alcohol laws. We're known as one of the biggest drinking states, and they stop selling at 9 p.m.
Yeah, Tom and I have a history of partying, and I lived across the street from a gas station. So we would literally stumble over to the gas station at like 8:55 to buy some more beer.
Yeah.
We did not
Well, that's
drive,
right.
Universe.
You
We
can't
were
buy
very responsible.
beer after 9 p.m.?
Nope.
In some areas, you can.
Some
at some
areas...
gas stations, but
you
not
can't
in-
buy hard liquor after 9. That's a no-no. But yeah, they shut down liquor stores at 9. Bar closes at 2. I don't know what it's like up there.
Bar closes at 2 here also, but you could buy alcohol at a gas station till 2 o'clock.
Oh, there you go.
That would also be dangerous for us. It's for our own protection, Tom.
All right.
We're not young men anymore, but when we were, whew.
We hit it hard for a while there.
Mm-hmm.
April the giraffe at Milwaukee County Zoo is now on birth control. You probably don't know this, but there was an incident at the zoo where they just showed up and then there were 3 giraffes instead of
Hey!
2. They had no clue she was pregnant.
That's great.
This is a PSA announcement. There was a viral story and hospitals are reporting that women are coming into the ER because they tried to vacuum their periods out.
Ooh.
What?
That I hope that's
Solid plan.
a joke.
No, it's in Cosmo magazine. Some nurses are saying, please do not try to vacuum your period out.
I think everybody should keep the vacuum away from their downstairs. Men
So
and
is it
women.
a shop vac hose or do you flip the vacuum on the side and straddle it? I don't know how
Nothing
they're
about that
attachment.
sounds good.
It's got to be an attachment?
I don't think anything I would say would be a good thing to say.
Yeah.
Just like that vacuum right there, Mark. Just turn it, straddle it. I don't know.
No comment.
Do not vacuum out your periods, ladies. Everybody knows you plug your nose and blow. That's how you get rid of it. FCC has now commissioned your cell phone providers to get rid of robocalls for you.
That would be nice. I have gotten so many of those things lately in Chinese. I've received several that are clearly, maybe not Chinese. I don't speak Chinese. Clearly an Asian language.
Ron's watching and he says you just ruined his side business for Period Vac.
Best vac, period.
Thanks, Ron.
Hey, you can overrule us. So, all right, Darren, thank you very much for coming on. We're going to check out the Cooper Vortex. Make sure you get into that. He's got some great episodes.
We
on
barely
there.
scratched the surface here today.
Yeah, check out my show. It's totally free. So thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right, Mark, where can they find us? You got your reads? Put your DC Cooper.
Oh, I
Here
wanted
you
to
go.
mention that real quick, just so people don't make fun of us. DB was an invention of the media, right? He was listed as Dan Cooper, and someone misreported it as DB Cooper, and that's where the name comes from?
There was a petty criminal who lived in the Portland area who was named DB Cooper. So they checked him out right away. It wasn't him, but somehow that ended up going out in the media as DB Cooper was the hijacker. The FBI never corrected it, I believe because they were looking for someone to say, oh, well, I know it was me because I wrote Dan Cooper on the ticket.
Oh, okay. Interesting tactic. I could see how that could work. I just knew someone in the comments would be like, excuse me, he's actually Dan Cooper. So, that's what I would
he's
do.
going to make fun of you anyway, Mark.
Yeah, that ain't stopping it.
All right, well, we are Off the Rails with Tom and Mark, and you can find us on Twitter at Off the Rails TM, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, our website's all Off the Rails TM, email offtherailstm@gmail.com. I haven't checked, but email all those wacky, weird questions to asktomanything414@gmail.com. This podcast is available on SoundCloud, YouTube, Stitcher, iHeartRadio.
Everything.
Lots of places. So, yeah, see
Go to our website. To shop on Amazon. Go to our website. You like the live feed, share it. It's the freeziest way to do it. So, all right, universe, thank you very much. Thank you, Darren. Check out the Cooper Vortex. Remember,
guys.
We are not good enough.
Thanks for tuning in, universe. Rails.